All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of you guys who responded to my thing that I put up on Instagram last week to please leave us ratings and
Oh,
reviews. Some of you guys did that. We greatly appreciate it. I'm
nice.
going to randomly pick somebody and send them some stickers in the mail. And I'll extend that to podcast listeners too. It really does help us like show up in the algorithm and reach more people. So we appreciate you taking time to do that.
Very cool.
If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that Blakely and I are not alone. We have Coach Haley with us on this episode. What's up, Haley?
What's going on? Good to be here.
So, this podcast is going to be talking about things from our own personal experience, small changes that we've each made that have made a big result, have made a big change
Yeah.
in the results that we've gotten. But we got all kinds of stuff to talk about before we
right.
get into that. I think Haley actually has a sponsor for us this episode. Who do you got, Haley?
I do. Yeah. So this episode is going to be sponsored by Bangs. Sponsored by
The energy drink?
Happy Energy to Bangs with an S. Um,
Do tell.
you tell, yeah. So I guess they reached out to me. They saw through Instagram that I cut my bangs. It's kind of that funny, like the Instagram versus reality. So the first day I got them done, I was like, oh yeah, so chic, so cool. I even told Jenna, shout out to Jenna if she's listening to this. I was like, I'm going for your style. You look so great. So that's kind of what day one was. And then I woke up day two in the morning and I was like, oh, what have I done? It was more Dwight Schrute than what I was going for. So not
What's
not in
the
full support of the
Looking at
bang.
you right now, you don't even
They
look
look
like you
great.
have bangs.
I know. Well, if anyone wants a good giggle, I try and pull them together and they just separate. It's just that's
What's
what it would
the
look like.
what's the prognosis like? I
What's the
mean,
prognosis?
Yeah, I'm working on that. Another thing they don't tell you when you get bangs, for me, maybe other people think this is gross, but I think most women we don't wash our hair. At least I don't every single day. But then I didn't realize like I use dry shampoo, but when you're sweaty and you're working out and just the oils on your forehead, your bangs get gross. And then I just like wash my bangs like every 2 days. And
Just a
that's just
just a bang wash.
like when my skin is washed. It's just like a real pain. So
Oh man.
just know if you're looking for the bangs, you gotta be committed. It is
mm.
the big thing. So
Well, so like I'm probably get in trouble for sharing this, but
Oh.
probably like I don't know, once every like 2 weeks, 4 weeks at a minimum, Blakely's
I,
like, I should cut bangs.
I get a clip, I put them down, I walk out, I'm like, what do you think? Right here, right?
She like
And like
pretends
I'm
like
about
she
to
has
do
them.
it, and it's like
actually,
I
you have
never
a hair.
pull the trigger.
Your hair
We
just looks a little bit more like full and thicker than mine. I think that's I've found a little bit thinner hair, and yours it would be good.
or her mom has them,
Yeah, my
so all
mom
she
has
really has to do.
fantastic bangs. I've taken my mom with me to the girl that I go to, and she's like, "I won't cut bangs on you. You have a cowlick. You don't." And we were talking. Me and Haley talked about this. Like the lady I go to, she's like, "I won't cut bangs for you." So I'm not able to get them, I guess.
Yeah.
You're not
Unfortunately,
making it sound very appealing though. Anyway,
man.
Okay, before we get into an announcement of an exciting program that we have starting
Yeah.
in January, it might be somebody who's new to Digital Barbell's first time to even see Haley and
Yeah.
think that maybe it's just Blakely and I that are the coaches for this company. But no, there is somebody in Maryland
Somebody.
who is like an important part of this company too.
Yes.
Kind of tell everybody what you do for Digital Barbell, and you've been with us for almost 3 years
3
now too,
years.
Haley. So just kind of
Yeah.
introduce yourself just a little bit.
yeah, it is coming up on 3 years. I think early March time,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. So
Yeah.
I am a nutrition coach as well as a training coach. And
And your background is not that unsimilar from ours because you started out by coaching people in person too.
right, yeah, that's how I started out. I did some group classes for a bit, and then I moved into more like one-on-one in-person training. And this is the best of both worlds. I absolutely love doing it the way we do, and it's just been fantastic.
Heck yeah,
Awesome.
we're lucky to have you.
Yes.
Speaking of like the people that you coach a lot of people that go into our different 8 and 12 week programs.
Mm-hmm.
And drum roll, please, we have the return of one that was really popular a few months ago that comes out in January.
Yeah, a few months ago was our first release of the new physique program.
Yep.
And due to popular demand, we're bringing it back. So physique will be relaunched January 8th. So it's an 8-week program that'll run you right through into March 1st. And in addition to that, I think I talked about this on last week's podcast. I've been writing a Physique 2.0. So if you're currently in Physique, what it's going to do is just like continue to build upon the volume we're building. And so if you go into Physique 1, you got your initial 8 weeks, and then you got a next 2.0 8 weeks coming at you. So full 16 weeks.
This is a 4-day per week program.
4 days a week. Yep.
Focused on helping you build muscle, build strength, take advantage of progressive overload. You have the opportunity to have a coach to make sure you're doing everything right. You never have to wonder what you're supposed to do every day. It's all right there in the app.
We have a coached and an uncoached version. The uncoached, obviously, you just get the workouts. The coach, you get one of us to help coach you through it, which is super valuable. We talk about all the time is just like having somebody watch you move, making sure, number one, you're moving correctly, you're moving effectively, and you're moving at the correct intensities. Like, we don't want you to waste time in these programs like using the wrong weight by either being too heavy and you're moving sloppy, or being too light and you're not really getting anything out of it.
Whether you work out with dumbbells, barbells, you're really experienced, you don't have a lot of experience, you can do this program.
Every time I talk about a workout, I do a row. I'm like, this is the example movement.
Like
dumbbell row.
As if we actually row standing up like this. We're just starting a lawnmower.
Well, speaking of the coach version, it's been great. One person in particular I'm thinking of is Lucy. I forget her exact number. She decided on her own. She was like, hey, this is kind of where I'm at right now, and these are the numbers I want to be by the end of the program for my main lifts, and she hit those, and it was really
awesome. Man. Yeah. And that's early too, because they still have, I think, 2 more weeks. Is that right? 2 or 3 more
sounds
weeks.
Right,
yeah. That's great.
That's great.
Very cool.
Okay, so again, the program starts on January the 8th.
Yeah, if you listen to last week's podcast, I did say January 2nd. We have pushed it back to January 8th. January 2nd, it's just like, it's a Tuesday. It's the day after the holidays.
On a Tuesday. It's against the
so
rules.
January 8th, we will kick all this off.
And we actually made the webpage for learning more about it and signing up live. So
go to the website, y'all. The website is so different. We've been putting a lot of work into it. I love how it looks. But the Physique page is up there.
Yep.
In addition, you can get to our Amazon store.
Oh, yeah. Tell everybody what that is.
I think we talked about it last time, but we are now Amazon influencers, y'all. I'm really excited.
I don't know if you know this, but we're kind of a big deal.
You have to apply for this.
Things are getting pretty serious.
Things are getting pretty serious right now.
Things are getting pretty serious.
I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious.
So our Christmas list, so the 3 of us each came up with like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 ideas, I think, y'all, right? And like we put them into a Christmas list. That is on there, the 2023 holiday guide. In addition to like, we have a book list on there, recommended books. We have kitchen essentials, workout essentials, podcasting equipment. If you're interested in getting into podcasting, that stuff is on there.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. There's one more category I'm forgetting. Oh, the Christmas list, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we just get asked a lot, like, what do you recommend for this band or this whatever? And it's on there now.
Yeah.
You can grab the links easily.
Boom. Big time. Hashtag big time. Okay, we ready to get into this episode?
Yeah.
Well, let's go round robin. How's that sound?
Yeah. Let's just whatever.
All right. These are small changes that have had big results in our own fitness journey. I'll start. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Rewind back to working out in our garage when we lived back in Houston.
Okay.
You owned the CrossFit gym, but I was working out by myself in the morning in our garage. Then I would come to one of your classes in the afternoon, sometimes doing 2 a days.
When you had a friend come over? So
even before he started joining me, like I was doing mostly bodybuilding stuff in the morning, and then I'd do the CrossFit class in the afternoon. The small change that I made during this time that really added up to huge results was I literally just took a piece of paper and I wrote out my program, and between every set, I would go down and write what weight I used and how many reps I got. And by the end of like a 3-month cycle, this thing looked ridiculous with all the chicken scratch handwriting on it. But making that small change of recording what I did allowed me to know what I needed to do to try to do more next week. Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
It sounds really silly.
No, it's because I'm always bugging you to log your results and to keep track of what you're doing.
This was way before we had True Coach and doing CrossFit. There was no like log or like.
Yeah, there is.
Well, I mean, the workout was constantly changing. It was a different WOD every day, whatever. But the point is, like, I was focusing on my physique at that time,
Yeah.
and recording my results on that little piece of
That made
paper.
a big
It made a
difference.
huge difference in the results that I got. When I look back at like how my body changed during that time, I know it's because of the time that I put into those workouts
Yeah.
and making sure that I was using progressive overload by recording
That's good.
my stuff.
That's good.
Do you still
one.
have that workout journal? Because I'm thinking back, I did that as well when I first started, and I found it at my parents' place not too long ago, and it was so cool going back and looking through it all.
Yeah.
I think I have a picture of it
Uh-huh.
because the guy that ended up coming over and work out with me, like we would text back and forth, like, here's what we're going to be doing.
okay.
So I have
Yeah.
a picture of it saved somewhere, but I think we tossed the actual, because they weren't, it wasn't even a journal.
It was
These
just
were
like pieces of
8.5
paper,
by
right?
11
Yeah.
sheets of paper.
He's not that okay.
Eventually did get a workout journal, but
Yeah.
that was a small change that I made
That's great.
had
Yeah.
a big,
And that,
big result.
I mean, I think that's a lot of people can be in those shoes where they just like, I can remember, and you really can't remember. Like, did I get 12 reps? Did I get 15 reps? Like, what did I use? 30s or 40s? Yeah.
Yep.
It's so helpful. That's cool. That's a good one.
Hey, thank you.
You go, Haley.
Okay. So mine actually doesn't have a ton to do with training or nutrition. For me, I was thinking more from a mindset perspective. So for those, I've talked about my story a little bit in our very first podcast that I was on, but I moved back home from Georgia for, kind of just a really tough time. And I just felt like I had so much, when you write a to-do list and it's so overwhelming that instead of chipping at it one by one, you're like, just not going to do any of it. It's too much. So I realized for me, before I could even worry about getting, more consistent with my training, getting in a good training program and cleaning up my diet, I just had a lot of stuff to work on in between my ears. And that was easily the hardest part. And I think that's why many people struggle is they kind of just push that off to the side of, oh yeah, I'll get to that later. That's really not the important part. I really think I wouldn't have been able to be as successful as I was and consistent as I was with losing weight and getting back into a good training program if I hadn't done the hard work of fixing my mindset. And so small ways to do that didn't feel overwhelming. Maybe it was just I went for a walk today to clear my head. I put on a podcast that made me feel good. Another like small little win I did is I started going back to church again, just me. And while it seems, which is the whole point of this, while it seems really small, it added up to big things because once I was in a really good mindset, I was able to push and make good progress once I did start to work on those bigger things.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's the hard part, really.
Yeah.
Like people think the hard part is like cooking the food and lifting the weight, but taking some time to actually work on the mindset side of things that's the hard part. So it's so tempting to just ignore that and try to figure out, okay, what's the right macro split for me? That's really what I need to focus on.
And like you said, that's the part you don't want to do. That's the thing that you don't like. I don't want to focus on this. It's easier to go into the gym. It's easier to be like, all right, let me focus on my nutrition. But that stuff won't fully fall into place, like you said, until the mindset is strong.
Well, I remember learning about this in our precision nutrition course, if you guys remember this, and it's the 7 areas of wellness. And I think it's fantastic. So the 7 areas are physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual, environmental, and occupational. And I really just feel like you have to be, or at least try to be in a good place with all of those. You truly want to have health and wellness.
Yeah. Let me make a note to put that on the.
Read
that in the notes.
Read those again.
Well, what is the title of it again? And I'll make a note to put that.
7 areas of wellness.
Okay.
So the big ones we think of, first one is physical. That's just one of the 7. It's emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual, environmental, and occupational.
Cool.
That is good.
Yeah, I'll make a little thing and drop that in the show notes because I think that's like it'd be good to have like that printed out somewhere and you kind of know the areas.
When I think about like our podcast and our content and kind of stuff, like I always try to keep those things in mind when we're coming up with ideas for content, and that's and I think like when we first started, a lot of our content was like, here's how to eat more protein. Here's here's good sources of carbs. But then I realized that like, yes, those things matter, but they're not really the things that are holding people back. So we try to address those kinds of things that you're talking about in a more broad sense,
right?
Especially with like the balance between the Monday motivations and, different, all the different kinds of content.
Yeah.
That stuff really, really matters.
Yeah.
Glad that you brought
And I
that
like
up.
how we're doing this too. I think it's helpful to hear like other people's journey through things that other people are struggling with. And like, and number one, it gives you this like sense of hope that you're not the only one struggling with this. And number two, it gives you just like you hearing someone else's personal journey is just always inspiring.
Yeah. And I think like for some people taking like physical steps like to improve their health can help with those mindset problems that they don't really know how to start working on too. Like I can think of a time in my life where I was like struggling with anxiety and I was even depressed and like I was out of shape. Like this was even after I had started CrossFit, got in pretty good shape. And then I stopped all that, got really out of shape, was going down a bad mental road. And like, I just decided one day, like I'm going back to the gym. Like I'm going to start exercising. And that kind of helped along with a lot of other things, getting back in church also, but started the ball rolling in the right direction.
I think you've told that story before where you like were like sitting in your truck and you like felt your seatbelt like crushing in on you and you're just like, I'm going back.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my first one is super easy compared to you guys but really, I always wish I would have tracked this back when I owned the gym because who knows how many steps I was getting back then or anything like that. But like making sure that I get 10,000 steps a day has made a huge impact on both my mental and physical health. A lot of mental too. Like that's such a good, like me knowing that I have this goal every day gives me this reason to go do this. Like I'm like, okay, let's, and it's good for our dogs too, but like, let's go do a walk and, it can be 20 minutes down and up the road. It's good for my mental health. It's a good mental break from like work or whatever. And it's great for the dogs to get out and like, shake their legs and stuff like that too. But I've been pretty consistent with it over the last few years and I've seen significant changes in both.
Yeah. And I would say like, for you, that number is 10,000.
Yeah.
And it's an arbitrary number that came from, we don't have to go in that whole story, but the point is like, it's something that pushes you outside of what you would normally get, like forces you to be a little bit more active and proactive and being,
and it's not,
that activity in.
It's like, it's a doable number for me every day, but it's not easy. It's like, I do have to work on it. If I don't try for it, if we don't take the dogs for a walk, I have to spend either some time on here in the treadmill or like, walking around my house like a silly person because you have to try for it. Where we live, we have a little bit of space and land. And so, I can get like close to 6,000 or so a day just in normal life, but I have to try to close it out.
Yeah.
And especially when we like camp, we're in a much more confined space. And so I really even try even harder than I'm like, I have to hit it today. We're going for 3 dog walks.
Yeah. So if you're somebody listening to this and you're like, oh shoot, 10,000 steps, there's no way I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Right, figure out where you are now and then do what Blakely did, push yourself to get more than your default number of steps.
Yeah. It's good to like track for a week and be like, okay, my normal is this. Let's see if I can push, 800 steps more a day and get, that next level and then continue from there.
Haley, being a coach, Haley, does anybody just assume like you work out for a living and that you probably just get 10,000 steps regardless, not realizing your job is actually behind a computer?
Yeah, it's behind a computer and I live in an apartment. So that's honestly, I've been thinking for the longest time of getting a walking pad. But the main reason I haven't is just if I did, I'm like, especially during the winter, I'd probably never be outside. So it forces me to bundle up and go out because like you were saying, when you go for your walks, it's so good. Being in nature, I'm just such a nature gal anyway, just being outside, especially when it's cold and you are like staring at a computer, it does wonders.
Yeah.
Just 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll even try and not have anything in my ears. And it's just a good time to do nothing but think.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't ever like try to listen to anything. If anything, if it's us, we'll talk. But I try to just like be in my own head, like during those times. Yeah. And I do, that's honestly like a bonus one on my list is like that changed for me. Like I will mow the yard. I'll do like a lot of activities and never put anything in my ears and like be in my own thoughts. And I feel like that has been, I'm glad you brought that up, like made a huge impact on my mental strength, honestly. It's not feeling like I just have to fill my brain with stuff to like, if I have idle time, like being able to be idle with myself.
That's tough. Yeah. I'm not that good at that. It's something I can work on for sure. I don't feel like I'm probably not alone.
Yeah.
In like, being guilty of always trying to have some input going into my brain or, being afraid to just sit there in the silence.
Yeah. It's a skill for sure. I think
it's similar to people who have kids where I feel like we constantly think we have to always be entertaining them and they have to do activities and do this, but really just let them be bored. Being bored,
Yeah.
it's so good for you.
Oh yeah.
You're using your imagination. You're like big things can come from that.
Yeah, it's like a lot of times it's your most creative time. Like,
Yeah.
you get thoughts that you wouldn't have if you were listening to someone else's thoughts
Yeah,
or
that's a
music
good
or
point.
whatever. Cool. All right.
Okay, I got another one here. Okay, small change, big result was when I started having protein at every single meal.
Okay.
Huge confession here. Probably from like 2010 until 2013, maybe. I had a shake for breakfast that was like soy milk, probably not even regular milk, soy milk, frozen banana, and frozen strawberries with no protein powder added. That was my breakfast every single morning.
Okay.
It was no wonder
We didn't
like
have protein powder? I don't remember. Okay.
and that like resulted
Yeah.
in kind of being kind of skinny fat.
That's
I was,
a smoothie,
was
yeah.
working out a lot, and I thought these smoothies were crushing it, And yeah, so learning more about nutrition in general is what opened my eyes to the power of protein. And now, like having protein at every meal now is a non-negotiable, and like that one small decision executed consistently over time has the power to completely change your physique and recovery, your ability to build muscle. And it really takes just a conscious decision that you're going to do it. When we talk about what we're going to have for a meal now, it's like, we start by thinking, okay, what's our protein
Right.
going to be? If we want to go out for pizza or something, you put that to the side. But in our regular day-to-day life, like every meal starts with deciding there's going to be a protein
But
in
when
this
you
meal.
say meal, you mean your snacks too, right?
I
do you-
think the biggest change was just like getting my
meals.
overall protein intake up throughout the day by having protein at every single meal.
Okay.
Because like we've told the story on this podcast before, a typical dinner for us used to be pastaroni and
A bread.
and some garlic bread. So like we went for years and years,
Yeah.
not having much protein at dinner, and I probably didn't have much at breakfast either. If I probably had a bowl of cereal
Yeah.
with some milk, and maybe that was like 10 or 15 grams of protein. So anyway, small change, big result over time. Non-negotiable to have protein in every single meal, and I try to aim for between 30 and 50 grams per day, and that just takes away the stress of having to like log every little single thing to
Yeah.
make sure I get enough protein.
Cool.
Well, speaking of protein, I remember another thing, just really not having the knowledge or awareness around that. There was a time where I was still, okay, I was like, I've heard that you should get more protein. Let me do that. So for breakfast, I would always make sausage. Like, obviously, sure, there's some protein in there, but for how much protein you're getting, you're really, really adding fats and calories. And
Yeah.
who knew? I was like, well, it's meat. So I guess that's fine. So yeah. Okay.
Sausage is a terrible deal when it comes to
To protein, yeah.
Ooh, but it's so good. Okay, so mine, kind of similar on that idea that you brought up was for me getting more fruits and veggies. Still, I would love to say that I am still crushing it, or I should say every single day I'm crushing it. Some days, you know what? Because similar to protein, it comes down to probably preparing and just having it in your house. So if I run out of fruits or veggies, shoot. But for me, when I was deciding I should probably like up this a little bit, and this could apply to any habit you're trying to do, I just started with one meal. At breakfast, every single morning, I'm going to have a fruit with it. Once I was doing that really well, at dinner, every single dinner, I'm going to have a vegetable with it. Now, I'm not saying I'm EC and I can get 800 grams without even thinking about it, but certainly try. It just kind of came down to starting small and then stacking from there. Okay, the next meal. Now my snack is also going to include this.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean that's a big shift we try to make in all of our clients.
I like the way you drew it out. Like you
Yeah.
said, like don't just like it can be overwhelming to be like I need to eat more fruits and vegetables and like not know where to start. But like starting meal by meal and like getting comfortable with it, and then being like that one I don't even think about anymore. That's like you said, it's great for any kind of habit that you're gonna try to start.
I also think it's smart for when you're trying to increase your fruits and vegetables. If you're somebody who's like, I don't really like fruits and vegetables. All right, you probably like fruit more than vegetables, so at least start with that one. Don't like start eating more fruits and vegetables. Go by buying a bag of raw kale and raw broccoli and think you're gonna start with that. Start with something you actually
Like a banana. Most people like a banana. I
Right.
think
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then get the snowball rolling.
Cool. Well, it's funny. All of our second ones have food related stuff, but mine has been, it's like a two-part kind of thing. Controlling my own food, number one, and not relying on others by meaning like restaurants or pre-prepared things to control my food intake. And then specifically like snacks. Like I used to really be like dependent on snack bars. And like even at home, I was just like, I would have one or two snack bars a day. And I'm like, why am I walking into my house and getting a snack bar? Like I have the kitchen right here. Like make a snack that is like a fruit and a bowl of cottage cheese and, a scoop of peanut butter that contain the same calories as the snack bar. But it's just a little bit, it takes me 3 minutes to prepare versus like a rip of a thing. And I think those two things, like controlling my own food in like, most cases,
Eating
unless
out
we
less.
go out, and then,
Less snack bars.
less snack bars, only utilizing snack bars is a second way that I control my own food, because if we're out, I definitely make sure I have snack bars with me, because I don't want to get hungry and then be like, I don't have anything, I need this, and if we're like running out, it's just that is something that you can easily eat on the go. So
Yeah.
I always have them with me, but I try not to eat them when I'm at home.
We've been through the snack bar gamut.
We sure have. Yes.
So I can think back on so many brands, some of which aren't even in business anymore.
Yeah. Our friends were here this weekend, and our friend Wilson, he like introduced us to this one called Anna Bar.
Yeah.
And he had given it to us last time he was here and was like, are y'all eating the Anna Bars? And I went off. I was
How he
like,
talks.
like, it was like, okay, I was like, I haven't eaten it because honestly, I think the marketing is all wrong on this thing. I don't even know what's in it, but it sounds like a bar for a man. It's like Anabar, like anabolic steroids is what they're kind of going for, like the twist on the word.
Yeah, I think so.
And like, it just sounds like a man's bar. I was like, this bar is not for me. It's not marketed to me. I'm not going to eat it.
I mean,
Yeah, get hype.
it's a glorified candy bar with some extra protein in it.
Yeah. And that's good. It's good to look at the protein that you're getting. Like I eat Builder bars because it's like the Cliff version of a protein bar. So they have like 20 grams of protein in it. If you just get the Cliff bar, it's like 4.
Right.
So it's a Cliff bar with added protein.
Yeah.
And so, fairly clean ingredients, like, just that's what I'm going to go toward so I can get the protein.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. It is a change for sure.
Do you remember those Luna bars? Did you ever eat those?
Oh,
I was like, now those were marketed for women. Like, and you wouldn't be carrying around a Luna bar. I'm not going to be carrying around an Anna bar.
they were not good. Like I tried to like, force myself to think they were good. And same thing. I know you guys like RX bars. I just can't do it. It's like flattened
Too gooey.
or something. It's
It's too gooey.
It's been a long time since I had an RX bar.
We actually just recently found one. We were on
breakfast one.
a road trip and
Yeah.
we got one, and they have like these breakfast bars now that are like they're
like-
not as gooey. They're made with like oatmeal.
Yeah, it's like oatmeal, honey, and
Yeah.
some kind of egg white protein or something.
I like those, and I like Luna or Laura bars because it's like 4 to even 2 to 4 ingredients, and you see it right there on the package.
yeah, Lara bars are not as bad taste wise.
They don't have any protein though.
Yeah, they're
That's
just
the one
all like
downside of them.
cashews.
Yeah.
But let's just wrap up on the whole protein bar thing, saying like, use these things in a pinch. They are
Yes.
super high in calories. They're
yeah.
super low in protein. Like as much as you can, eat whole foods.
That's what I mean. Like that change in myself, like realizing that I'm going into my house and buying and grabbing a snack bar.
Yeah.
And just, I'm going to make my own snack. I'm going to get an apple and then bake a bowl of cottage cheese,
Yeah.
and have a scoop of peanut butter. That's usually what my snack is, or a banana. And like, that takes the place of me just opening a bar.
I like it. Okay, this is going to be my last one.
Okay.
All right. Change I made was to do the first things first. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is like kind of changing my daily schedule to do the things that I deem the most valuable and important first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't really start doing this until we moved to Boise probably, but I have more of like a morning ritual now, not some kind of complicated, thing that takes 30 minutes where I stare at the sun and then, meditate and do yoga and all that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
wake up, I drink water, I get coffee, and then I go do Bible study, journaling, and I spend some time like reading something that I want to learn more about, because those things are super important. So I get them done first thing, and then they are done. And then it's super important to me to create valuable content and spend time creating for our business. So I spend another 30 to 60 minutes doing that right after those things. And then the next most important thing is actually coaching our clients. So I move on to that.
Wait,
and
you
then,
cook breakfast in between there.
no, sometimes I'll jump into the clients even before
that's true.
breakfast.
Yes.
But anyway, the point is like changing, 2 points. The time like spent journaling, reflecting, praying, and Bible study, like that's just gives me a better chance of setting the whole day up for success. Good chance I'm still going to screw up at some point during the day, but at least I have given myself a good chance by spending the time doing that. And then second of all, it actually makes sure that the things that I say are a priority to me get done. I don't say like, creating content, writing emails, writing blogs for our company is important to me. I'll do it. I'll try to do it when I have time. I don't do that, or else I know it's going to get shoved to the side because all the other responsibilities are going to start happening. So I do that thing first because I say it's important to me, and I'm going to let my actions, make that clear.
Yeah.
And it works because they get done. We're consistent with it, and I think it's helped our business in the long term too. And my clients get my undivided attention in the morning because that's an important thing to me. So it happens. The point is like I make my actions reflect the things that I say are important to me. And it is just creating more consistency and results in the long term.
And getting those things done first, it allows like if distractions come in the morning or in the middle of the day, they don't take away that you've already done those things that are important to you.
Yeah. It kind of goes to like the whole like discipline equals freedom thing. Like I put these constraints around my morning so that I can like create more freedom for myself during the day. It's not like I don't feel trapped by doing these things. It actually gives me freedom to like, we can go fill up the water in the afternoon, or we can go for a walk, or we can go work at a coffee shop. Cause like I've done the things that I said I was going to do earlier in the day. Why are you laughing?
That's the excitement in our life. If we have to get water on the outside, we got to go fill our water tanks. And I'm talking about the trailer. I'm talking about our house.
Yeah. That's a slice of life for us. It's something we got to do a couple times
water.
a week.
Okay.
So anyway, I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Good one.
Yeah. We actually kind of already were segueing into what mine was going to be about front loading your day. But before I get into that, I just wanted to say with the people's morning routines, all the influencers you see online, most people, that is not reality. That's not even their reality. Because think about it. They're going to get up first and set their camera up to show themselves waking up. Like that's just so don't get in that trap of like, oh, I now need this 95 step morning routine, or I'm just failing at life. That's not it. Choose a small handful of things that you want to get done in the morning and call it a success. You don't need anything fancy.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah.
So my thoughts were, like you kind of already touched on, was front loading your day. And I'll be honest, I live in Maryland. It's been really cold. So I struggle with this a lot in the winter, physically, mentally. It's just in the morning, it's just really hard. So I'm working on getting back to that. But I just know for me, when I front load the day, and this is the advice I give clients, at least you know that that's done, because especially if you have kids or a demanding job, life is probably going to pop up. So you could have had fantastic intentions of getting that 6 p.m. workout in, but a long list of reasons, happens, and it's like, shoot, that's really not in your control. So do it when it still is in your control, before everyone wakes up. And I don't work out first thing in the morning, so I'm not claiming to be that amazing person, but I know many people who can and do. And they're usually the most successful and consistent clients we have anyway, just because it's fun. They don't think about it anymore. It's out of the way for the day. But some other ways that it doesn't have to just be working out. Because I don't know if I'm ever going to be an early morning workout.
We'll see as your responsibilities change, as life progresses. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Never say never.
If I had to, then I would make that happen. But I'm just lucky that on these days I can work out really whenever I want. But some other things that you can do to front load your day is maybe that just means you have a set time. So like, here's my 40-ounce Stanley. Maybe by 10 a.m. I'm making sure all that is done. Or you're knocking out your walk. That's another one during the winter I struggle with, especially now as it gets darker earlier. I have a good intention, like, oh, I'll wait till later once it warms up. And then I get caught up in my laptop and I'm like, all right, here we go. And it's pitch dark out.
Yeah.
Cold again.
Always tomorrow.
Yeah.
So just finding ways to front load your day with that, whatever that might be. That can be really small things. Adds up to big stuff.
Yeah. And like Elspo said, it really does create freedom in your life. It's like, I think my front loading is like tidying up, doing laundry, cleaning the house, like that kind of stuff. I will do that before I even open a computer or do anything, like, before we do breakfast, all that stuff. Because like just I've noticed that I feel like so much more free in throughout my day if all of that is done, if all the house stuff is done by the time we get to the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, it does just give you this freedom. Like I can do anything today, you know, and if you're a morning worker outer,
Refill the waters.
and you, the exciting life we lead. And if you're like a morning worker outer and you're like workout, showered, ready for your day, you're just like, my day is open, you know, whether you're going to work, whether you're, whatever you're doing, it's just like freedom. Yeah.
That is a really good feeling when you get to like 4 or 5 p.m. and you're like, I already worked out today. Boom.
Yeah. Like I've drinking all my water. My house is clean. I've done my work. I've worked out. Like I have the evening ahead of me instead of like, oh, it's 4:30 and I couldn't have more things to do. Like, yeah.
Right. And it's just one less thing you have to think about too. I feel like if I'm working out in the afternoon, like thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I gotta do these squats, and I'm like, you know,
exactly. It's like it's burdening your mind. You're like not clear because you're just like worried about the event that's about to happen. Yeah, that's a good point too. All right, my last one is just not a plug on Digital Barbell, but it also is. It has been changing up my programming to number one, to combine the things that we have. Like I was just actually out at like a church event this weekend, and I was talking to this girl who was asking me about what we do and everything, and she was all about like, you know, different, you know, getting different physiques and everything. And I was just like, she was like, I think I should just do high intensity cardio type stuff. That's what I should do. And I was like, no, you know, like my like body composition has changed more since I used to only do kind of CrossFit, unstructured, just like CrossFit every, you know, 5 to 6 days a week, to like when I do less CrossFit, more strength training, more bodybuilding, because I've been able to add the right doses of intensity to each of these pieces. And I think that that's the big key, because I can do CrossFit and add intensity because I'm not doing it every day. I can do the bodybuilding type stuff and add the right intensity because it's in a structured program, you know, and I can add the strength training at the right intensity because we go through cycles of these like 8 to 12 weeks where we're working on strength. Now we're working, you know, working on volume, we're working on this and that.
Good point.
And I've been able to add like intensity throughout everything.
Yeah. I like that.
And I think that's where the changes have come.
I think the girl you must have been talking to, that's such a common mentality. And this also applies to nutrition. We were talking about before, is people will just assume something that's harder and more intense and just something you probably hate more must be the better route.
Yeah.
You probably get better results from that. It's just not true.
Like it has to be the most horrible thing. Like I'm going to have buckets of chicken and broccoli with me and like be sweating for 3 hours in order to get these results. Like, and that's like the stereotypical, like that's how you get in shape, right? Like that's
if it doesn't require like insane sacrifice, forget it.
Right. And I think we can all testify that none of us hate what we do. So it's like,
right.
Yeah. We don't hate how we eat. We don't hate how we work out, you know, and like, it doesn't have to be the hardest thing, the most dreadful thing in the world for you. I think to top mine, I was going to top mine all off with a bonus one, but it was that I've done all these things with consistency over the last several years. Yeah. I mean, we talk about that all the time. It's no secret, but that really has been the magic piece on all these different things, is getting the steps and consistency, exactly getting the snacks, controlling my own food consistently. You know,
none of these small changes done once or twice create any results. It's only that you do them. And that's the great thing, is like you can stay consistent with something small. So if you can change something small that matters, do it consistently, boom, over time you get big results.
And like Haley's point with the fruit, it's just like make consistent changes, but make them like little bitty bits at a time that you can control, and then that you can, you know, manage. And then once that is like a habit for you and you don't even have to think about it, add another one.
Yeah, that reminds me of this meme that I love, and it's like, you know, someone's asking you, how do you get in shape? How do I lose weight? And you're like, the real basics, just be consistent with water, more movement, you know, more protein. And they're like, all right, keep your secrets then.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep your fancy secrets.
Don't tell me the truth. That's obviously not the truth. I love it.
I think I saw another one. It was like, somebody's like, you know, what is the secret to getting in shape? Is it like extra running or, you know, cutting carbs? Like, no, it's like, you know, just train for strength, you know, do some conditioning, eat a lot of whole foods. You'd be like, so fasting? That's what I should fasting? No, don't do that. Oh, so keto? No. It's the things that you do. It's the things that I'm telling you, man.
That's funny.
Probably the easiest small change you can make right now is to go to digitalbarbell.com. Either reach out for working with one of us one-on-one or sign up to join the 8-week physique program starting in January.
Yeah.
How's that for an easy change you can make?
There you go.
Let us help you put it on cruise control.
And like you said on last week's podcast, we talk about these 8-week programs when they are about to launch, but at all times there's available coaching with the three of us. And, like you said last week, it's just going to get busier as the new year drops in and people are going to be desiring these changes.
Yep.
Virtual high five. This was a good one.
High five that camera. I hope that you guys are watching this on YouTube too, so you can see Haley. You're on Instagram too. Tell everybody where your Instagram account is.
Yeah, it's Haley Digital Barbell, HALEY, one word.
Boom.
Nice.
And we're going to be continuing to put a lot of effort into YouTube content.
Mm-hmm.
We have some stuff that we've recorded that Blakely has not edited up yet. So if you're not already following us on YouTube, head over there. There's all kinds of fun stuff.
All kinds of fun.
In the hopper.
Go with us to fill water.
We got at least, we have things way more exciting filmed and ready to film than going to get water. But that reminds me, we do need to go get water.
Okay.
That's a small change you can make. If you're somebody that feels like you need to watch less TV, well, maybe instead of just saying, I'm going to not watch TV, maybe you're watching something that could make you better.
Boom. Bonus
Like
one right there.
Bonus.
No extra
Love
charge for that one.
Love it.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We will catch you next week.